I want to thank you so much, Fereshteh and Niaz, for making this possible for me to appear at this beautiful event today and to take part in the launch of such a wonderful book. I want to say we go a long way back, at least over a decade, I think, was the first time you appeared at Draft. And the late Anne Ireland was part of that program, I remember, and of course she passed away. But I think she would be very happy to think of you launching a book in English today. It's your second book in English, right? Yeah, it's wonderful. Anyway, I've written a few thoughts in encountering this book, and I'll share them with you now. In 30 Shadow Birds, we meet Yalda, an architect, ESL teacher, and single mother who has conversations with her personal jinn and a phalanx of ghosts, a wanderer obsessed with home, a survivor of trauma and brutal loss who has kept her dreams, passions, and creativity alive as she migrates from Iran to Europe and then to Canada. Despite the constant presence of dreams, shadows, memories, and magical creatures, this book is anchored in reality. Fereshteh Molavi takes us inside Yalda's skin as she goes about her days juggling various roles, staying afloat in a tough city, and doing at least a modicum of what she loves. We are with her as she does her makeup in the morning, contends with back pain, cleans her apartment, drives to work. This laser focus on her quotidian details not only grounds the book, it assures us that no matter what is going on inside her, Yalda is getting on with her life and making it work. The scenes of Toronto are drawn with a knowing eye, observed acutely from the point of view of a woman who cannot turn off her calling as an architect. The coffee shop, the one particular strip of Yonge Street that she drives on her way to work, the beach in the early morning. The clarity and recognizability of these settings is in direct contrast to the shifting landscape and images and internal dialogues roiling in Yalda's mind and heart. I had some hesitancy about accepting this invitation because I was concerned that I would not understand the book's references enough to appreciate it. I still know that I don't, but my concern about being able to talk about it were allayed when I saw the choices that this author has made in her structure. Yalda's internal life is populated with relationships from her past, with people from whom she is separated by death and distance. She is beset by regrets, self-doubts, unfinished conversations, the results of continually uprooting herself without being able to resolve things. And each of these conversations carries with it a landscape, a particular period in history and politics, and I think you've alluded to this. Molavi makes it work by being unapologetic about structuring her book along emotional lines. Rather than creating a subplot which follows along a linear track parallel to her framing story, she jumps in and out of various conversations and past lives based on associations and triggers on the surface of her daily activities. I found this a risky and courageous choice, and it works. As someone who witnessed the book's political backdrop as nothing but a series of headlines from a distant location, I placed myself in the author's capable hands as I went on this journey, dipping in and out of times and places, but anchored by Yalda's concrete daily struggles. I stopped trying to figure out the facts of the situation, yet was carried along by her emotional through line. Still, the facts did sink in. This book shows us the dinner table behind the headlines, the bedroom, the nursery, the large sweep of history resonating in the most intimate corners of the characters' lives. Readers will simply appreciate this book in different ways, depending on their backgrounds, and fill in the information later, as I did. The book is richly elusive, evoking ATAR, and I hope that I've pronounced that properly, Sufi poem, The Conference of the Birds. It's 30 chapters, echoing the number of birds that complete the epic journey. The story arc is not the one we might expect based on our popular North American narratives, where a character dips into the past only to emerge in some way cleansed of memories and ready to move on, to fall back on a hackneyed and ultimately destructive cliche. Maybe the 7 valleys in the Sufi tale provide a better way to navigate the nuances of this character's journey. The most haunting aspect of this book for me was the relationship between a mother and son at odds with each other. Once again, the author is unapologetic in her portrayal of Yalda's complexities, her rage as well as her pain. Yalda and her son Nader are 2 people marked by distance from their past, by fragmented relationships, by a series of enforced changes, new landscapes that never quite become home. She faces impossible choices with huge consequences. Her decisions do not just have impact on her own life, but on that of her growing son. They live under the same roof, yet are strangers to each other. And Nader chooses the one job that will hurt his mother the most, one that requires him to carry a gun when it is violence that tore Yalda's life in 2. Does he do it to spite her, to hurt her? Violence hovers as a memory and a threat. The mother of Marc Lépine makes a brief appearance in a fragment of a radio interview, the specter of what might be in store for Yalda. The mother takes all the responsibility, the son does not. The world looks to the mother for explanation, blames her, hates her. Without saying it outright, Molavi portrays a slippery slope, from carrying a gun to a killing spree. In a book such as Lionel Shriver's We Need to Talk About Kevin, the violence breaks out in monstrous form, but in the simmering worry of 30 Shadow Birds is in many ways more haunting. But above all, the alienation between mother and son is heartbreaking on a human level. This most painful of situations occurs often in life, but is seldom seen in literature. Once again, the author gives us the surface details, the takeout meal containers, the silent rooms. This profoundly lonely household is occupied by 2 individuals who once shared one body, who were each other's only anchor through migration. It's a painful book, but also a triumphant one, because of Yalda's internal world, which is so rich with images, and because of her ability to enjoy the daily life, which Molavi portrays in such loving detail. The spring breeze, the sun on her face, a bite of fruit, and because of her internal life, which teems with desires and poetic images as much as with regret.